First contact fears. The Vrixian exploration fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of an unremarkable solar system. High Commander Talik stood on the command deck of the flagship Celestial Voyager, his 4 arms folded across his iridescent exoskeleton as he studied the holographic display of the third planet. Initial assessment. Talik asked, his voice a melodic series of clicks and whistles. Science Officer Nixa consulted her instruments. Class M planet. Oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere. Extensive hydrosphere. Signs of industrialization. Primitive space technology. Nothing remarkable, Commander. Talik's compound eyes narrowed slightly. The Vrixian collective had mapped thousands of worlds across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. They had encountered dozens of spacefaring species, all of which had been peacefully integrated into their grand alliance. This blue-green world seemed like just another primitive civilization on the cusp of true space travel, hardly worth more than standard cataloging procedures. Deploy the survey drones, Talik ordered. Standard observation protocols. As the drones dispersed toward the planet, Tactical Officer Vreel suddenly straightened at his station. Commander, detecting a vessel approaching from the inner system. Primitive nuclear propulsion, but it appears to be intentionally heading toward our position. Talik's antenna twitched with surprise. They detected us at this distance. Interesting. Passive scans only. The holographic display shifted to show a blocky, inelegant vessel with primitive thrusters and what appeared to be primitive weapon systems. Talik felt a momentary pang of disappointment. The species was clearly centuries behind Vrixian technology. The vessel carries energy weapons and what appear to be kinetic projectile launchers. Vreel continued. Primitive shielding technology. They call themselves humans, and their vessel is designated US Intrepid. A warship, Talik noted. Their first venture to the stars. And they send warriors. Typical of young species. He had seen this pattern before. Emerging civilizations, fearful of the cosmos, sending their military as vanguards. Conduct a comprehensive biological scan, Talik ordered. I want to understand what we're dealing with before they arrive. Science Officer Nixa began the deep scan, her fingers dancing across the bioanalysis console. The Vrixians prided themselves on their biological understanding. Their species had evolved through careful symbiosis with their environment, developing perfect harmony over millions of years of peaceful development. As data streamed in, Nixa's movements became increasingly agitated. Her normal copper coloration paled to a sickly yellow. Commander, she said, her voice trembling. These readings, they can't be accurate. Talik moved to her station. Explain. These humans, their biology is wrong. Nixa's antenna flattened against her head, a sign of extreme distress. Their cells constantly destroy and rebuild themselves. Their bodies host trillions of microorganisms that they live in symbiosis with. They breathe oxygen, a corrosive gas, and their blood contains metal. Talik stared at the readouts. Continue. Their bones grow inside their bodies. They heal from injuries that would kill any sensible species. Their immune systems are hyper-aggressive, attacking anything foreign. Nixa looked up, her compound eyes reflecting the harsh data displays. Commander, according to these readings, they evolved on a death world. Everything on their planet has been trying to kill them for millions of years, and instead of dying, they adapted. The command deck fell silent as the implications sank in. Their historical records confirm it. Communications Officer Zrel added quietly. Multiple extinction-level events. Ice ages, supervolcanoes, their own wars using atomic weapons, pandemics that killed millions. And each time, they survived. They rebuilt. Tactical Officer Vreel's voice was barely audible. Commander, I've analyzed their weapons systems more thoroughly. They're not primitive. They're purpose-built for maximum destruction with minimal resources. Efficient. Deadly. These humans don't build technology like we do, for harmony. They build it to overcome, to survive against all odds. Talik's mind raced as he processed this information. The approaching vessel was no longer simply a primitive warship. It was the product of a species forged in constant struggle, carrying warriors who had evolved to survive conditions that would have exterminated the Vryxians millions of years ago. "They're hailing us," Zrel announced. On screen, Talik ordered, straightening his posture. First contact protocols demanded composure. The holographic display shifted to show the interior of the human vessel. A bipedal being with minimal external protection stood at the center of what appeared to be a command center. It had only 2 arms, exposed skin, and a face with forward-facing predator eyes. "I am Captain Marcus Harris of the United Earth Ship Intrepid," the human said, its voice unnaturally flat, without the musical tones of Vryxian speech. "We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations with your species." Talik noticed something in the human stance, a controlled tension, a readiness. Despite its peaceful words, this was a creature prepared for violence at any moment. "I am High Commander Talik of the Vryxian Collective," he responded, keeping his 4 arms in a non-threatening posture. "We welcome peaceful contact with your species." As Talik spoke, he observed the human crew on their bridge. They moved with purpose, their bodies containing hidden strength. Most disturbing were their eyes. Alert, assessing, calculating. They were studying the Vryxians just as intently, looking for weaknesses. "We propose a meeting aboard our vessel," Talik continued, "to exchange cultural information." Captain Harris nodded, a curiously articulate gesture for such a rigid neck structure. "Agreed. I will bring a small delegation. We look forward to learning about your civilization." As the communication ended, Talik turned to his officers. "Prepare the diplomatic chamber. Full sterilization protocols." "Commander," Security Chief Krivix interjected, "is it wise to allow these creatures aboard our vessel? Their biology alone poses unknown risks." Talik's antenna quivered slightly. "We have first contact protocols for a reason, Security Chief. We will learn more about them through direct interaction." He paused, then added, "But maintain alert status and prepare containment fields. These humans have survived against impossible odds for their entire evolutionary history. We would be foolish to underestimate them." On the U.S. Intrepid, Captain Marcus Harris turned to his executive officer, Commander Elena Rodriguez. "Well, what do you make of them?" he asked. Rodriguez studied the replay of the alien commander. 4 arms, exoskeleton, compound eyes. They look like highly evolved insects. Their ship design suggests harmony, not aggression. "But they're cautious, Captain. They scanned us thoroughly before responding." Dr. Sarah Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, joined them at the display. Their reaction was interesting. "Did you notice how the commander's posture changed after they completed their scans? Something about us disturbed them." Harris nodded. "We've seen that reaction before, from the exploration teams on Venus and Mars. When you evolve in a gentle environment, Earth species seem terrifying." He looked around at his crew, descendants of survivors who had weathered ice ages, plagues, wars, and climate collapse. "Prepare the delegation. Standard protocols. Diplomatic but alert. We come in peace, but we're ready for war." Rodriguez finished the unofficial motto of Earth's first contact teams. Harris smiled grimly. "Exactly. Let's go meet our new neighbors." Mutual understanding. The diplomatic chamber aboard the Vryxian vessel, Celestial Voyager, gleamed with polished surfaces. Everything had been sterilized 3 times before the humans arrived. Commander Talik watched through a transparent barrier as Captain Harris and his team entered the chamber. "Welcome," Talik said through a translator. "We apologize for the separation, but our biological differences require caution." Captain Harris nodded politely. "We understand. Thank you for your hospitality." Dr. Chen studied the aliens with fascination. Unlike humans, who carried the scars of their evolutionary battle in hidden ways, the Vryxians wore their evolutionary history on the outside. Their exoskeletons were perfect for their original homeworld's gentle environment, their forearms ideal for manipulating their surroundings without struggle. Your journey here represents an impressive achievement for your species, Talik began diplomatically. Our scans indicate your propulsion technology is still developing. Harris smiled slightly. Humanity is young in space, but determined. The Intrepid is our newest vessel, designed for exploration and diplomacy. And defense, added Security Chief Krivix, his posture rigid. Of course, Harris acknowledged without hesitation. Space is full of unknowns. We believe in being prepared. The casual acknowledgement of military readiness sent a ripple of discomfort through the Phyrexian delegation. In their society, weapons were ceremonial, rarely needed in a cooperative galactic community. Science Officer Nixa stepped forward. If I may ask, Captain Harris, our scans detected unusual biological features in your species. Your cellular structure suggests constant damage and repair processes. Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically. Yes, human cellular regeneration is quite efficient. We're constantly replacing cells. Our skin completely regenerates every month. Our liver can regrow even if most is removed, and our gut lining replaces itself every few days. The Phyrexians exchanged alarmed glances. And the microorganisms, Nixa continued. Our scans detected billions within your bodies. Our microbiome, Chen explained. Humans host trillions of bacteria and other microorganisms. They're essential to our digestion, immune function, even our mental health. We've evolved together. Talik tried to maintain his composure. Living in harmony with microorganisms was unthinkable to Phyrexians, whose sterile biology had evolved in an environment with few pathogens. Fascinating, he managed. Your species has clearly taken a unique evolutionary path. As the diplomatic meeting continued, back in the Phyrexian Command Center, Sub-Commander Jarvik gathered a small group of officers. You've all seen the scan results, he said quietly. These humans are walking biohazards. Their bodies are constantly at war, dying, and rebuilding. They breathe corrosive gas and drink universal solvent. Their history is one of continuous violence against their environment, against other species, against each other. The gathered officers nodded in agreement. What happens when more come? Jarvik continued. What happens when they bring their chaos to our ordered worlds? The High Command is blinded by scientific curiosity, but we must protect the collective. Security Officer Mrivik spoke up. What do you propose? Their ship is primitive. A targeted pulse to their main reactor would appear as a tragic malfunction. No survivors, no witnesses. Aboard the Intrepid, Communications Officer Petal frowned at her console. Captain, I'm picking up encrypted communications from the Phyrexian vessel. They're using complex encryption, but patterns suggest internal disagreement. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, head of security, studied his tactical display. Captain, I'm detecting energy buildups in what appear to be weapon systems. They're subtle, but increasing. Harris's eyes narrowed. Red alert, quiet protocols. No visible changes, but be ready. He turned to Rodriguez. Continue the diplomatic conversation. I need time. Back in the diplomatic chamber, Dr. Chen was explaining Earth's diverse ecosystems when her communicator subtly vibrated against her wrist. The silent alert. Your world sounds remarkably diverse, Talik was saying. Our homeworld evolved toward uniformity, consistent climate, predictable patterns. Earth is anything but predictable, Chen replied. We've learned to adapt to constant change. It's in our nature. Captain Harris watched the Phyrexian commander carefully. Commander Talik, in the spirit of openness, I feel I should mention that we've detected weapons charging aboard your vessel. Is there a concern we should address? The diplomatic chamber fell silent. Talik's compound eyes widened. You detected, but our systems are designed to be undetectable during power-up sequence. Harris simply nodded. As I said, we believe in being prepared. This includes sensor technology that might seem advanced compared to our propulsion systems. Aboard the command deck, Sub-Commander Jarvik received an urgent communication. The humans know. They've detected the weapons charging. Impossible. Rivik responded. Their technology is too primitive. Apparently not. Jarvik hissed. Accelerate the plan. Target their reactor now. In the diplomatic chamber, Commander Talek's communicator chimed with an emergency alert. His antenna went rigid with shock. Captain Harris, I must apologize. It appears some of my officers have taken unauthorized action. They've targeted your vessel. Harris remained calm. I suspected as much. You should know that the moment your weapons began charging, my crew activated our defensive protocols. Your targeting systems are currently receiving false positives about our reactor location. From the Intrepid, Lieutenant Commander Jackson's voice came through Harris's communicator. Captain, we've isolated their targeting grid and implemented countermeasures. Their weapons are locked onto a phantom signature 200 meters from our actual position. Talek stared at the human captain with new understanding. The casual confidence, the lack of fear, this wasn't bravado. These humans had anticipated potential hostility and prepared accordingly, all while maintaining a diplomatic demeanor. You came to peaceful talks, prepared for assassination, Talek stated. Harris nodded. Just as some of your officers prepared to attack while you conducted peaceful talks. The difference is, we didn't act first. Talek turned to his security team. Stand down all weapons. Security lockout. Command authorization, Talek Prime 7. He faced Harris again. Captain, had my officers succeeded, what would have happened? Harris' expression remained neutral. The Intrepid carries a deadman switch. If destroyed without proper shutdown protocols, a beacon activates. Earth would know exactly what happened and where. Our response fleet would arrive within days. The implications hung in the air. The humans had planned for their own destruction and ensured it would not go unanswered. I think, Talek said slowly, we have much to learn from each other, Captain Harris. Your species has clearly developed unique approaches to survival and diplomacy. Harris extended his hand, a human gesture of trust. That's why we're here, Commander. Not to threaten, but to understand. Our history taught us to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Talek hesitated, then extended one of his 4 hands to meet Harris. Perhaps the collective has grown too comfortable in its expectations of the universe. Your species represents a different path, one forged in adversity rather than harmony. Different paths can lead to the same destination, Harris replied. Peace through understanding our differences. 3 cycles later, the new Human-Vrixian alliance was formalized. The species that had evolved in constant battle with its environment had taught the harmonious Vrixians about adaptability and resilience. The Vrixians, in turn, showed humans how cooperation could extend beyond mere survival. And throughout the galaxy, word spread quickly. The species from the death world called Earth were not to be underestimated. They came in peace, but they were always prepared for war. The most frightening thing about humans wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was simpler than that. In a universe that had tried countless times to kill them, humans had simply refused to die.